Hi guys, how are you doing? Hope you're really well. Or in the words of Holly Willoughby, firstly, are you okay? If you don't get that meme, please Google. Not being not being mean, just maybe Google Holly Willoughby, firstly, are you okay? Um, yeah, absolutely. Team Alison, that's all I'm going to say. Team Fern. Please let me know underneath, without being specifically horrid about anybody in particular, because this is YouTube and a safe space. But yeah, Fern Britain over Holly Willoughby any day. So, not that life is a competition, etc., etc. Anyway, this video is basically going to be divided into two parts: a pronunciation issue and a difference of meaning issue. Can I just stress, I had a fight with some ivy and the ivy won. So I was cutting some ivy the other day off the top of a wall. I wiped my hand on my face and I don't know what it's done. Some spore from the ivy has really upset my face. So yeah. So I apologise if I look like I've been in a fight. It's quite a butch look though, isn't it? You know, it's doing well for me. So let's just quickly talk pronunciation. These are common mistakes. Even really advanced people that I work with, Robbie, on a Friday, mentioning no names, Robbie, will often get this wrong. So the common error is to say the infinitive incorrectly. Most of you get the short form correct. So these verbs, and there are loads of them, I'll talk about them in a minute, that these verbs have a form whereby you are going to change the vowel when what was the penultimate syllable becomes the final syllable. Not in all tenses, but in the present tense and a couple of other places like the future and the conditional. So for example, if I've got the verb lever, now we'll talk about what lever means later as opposed to soulever and relever and enlever. We'll talk about all of that in a minute with a T. But so let's just look at the verbs. If I said je lève, tu lèves, il lève, nous levons, vous levez, il lève. So we've got this change of e. So je lève, tu lèves, il lève, nous levons, vous levez, il lève. So numbers 1 to 3 and 6 are going to go high. We're going to add a grave. That means the accent which goes from the top left to the bottom right. So je lève, tu lèves, il lève, ou j'enlève, tu enlèves, il enlève, ou je soulève, tu enlèves, tu soulèves, il soulève, soulevant, enlevant, soulever, enlever, soulève, enlève, whatever, prélève. It's going to go high. You'll have the graph which goes, I hope this is the right way round, top left to bottom right. I think that will do that correctly for you. So if you just click on any one of these verbs on word reference, it's better on a laptop than on a on a phone. I was going to say iPhone, but it could be non-brand. And you'll see down the left-hand side a list of verbs which work in a similar way. This is really useful. So anytime you're learning a kind of irregular conjugation, so click on the little blue arrow underneath most verbs. It will bring you up all the different tenses. And then if you look down the left-hand side, it will give you verbs which work in a similar way. So let's just actually do that now. And it should bring up a shed load of verbs, probably about 35 are there? 44, God. So achever, achève. So just before we do this, just notice it's going to go a is going to go to e. So the is going to become. So the main area that this is going to happen is in the present tense. So you'll feel that this works when you lose a consonant. So for example, a syllable rather. So for example, lever, je lève. But you'll also maintain this change with the accent when you go into, like, say, the future and the conditional. So for example, if you had lever becomes je lève, you'd keep the change for lèverai, lèvera. So I don't want to teach you that you only do this when it's one syllable, when you drop back a syllable, because you might not, but that is predominantly what's going to happen in these verbs in the present tense. So lever, so achever, achève, amener, amène, cafeter, cafette, chanlever, chanlève, clairsemer, clairsème, crever, crève, dégrever, dégrève, engrener, engraine, élever, élève, embreuver, embrève, emmener, emmène. Yeah, this is what's going to happen. Mener, mène, amener, amène. Prélever, prélève. Okay, and obviously for the more advanced amongst you, when you then go into the future and the conditional, you keep the F change. So, so lèverai, lèvera, prélèvera, amènera, whatever. All right, but don't worry about that for the moment. All right, so this is really, really, really important. The main place that you'll see the problem is when you guys go into the infinitive, you'll give me the high version. So we need to be low on the infinitive. So for example, to remove, you'd all say enlever, yeah, rather than enlever, or lever rather than lever, or soulever rather than soulever. So that's the main area of problem, if I'm honest. It's doing the infinitive. Most of you pronounce the verbs as standard, the high way anyway, all right? So that's that then. So verbs we're now going to look at which do this, and there's also a bit of confusion. So I just thought it's a nice idea to combine this into the same video. There's a few verbs within this category that all kind of mean something to do with lifting. So we've got lever, or je lève, soulever, or je soulève, élever, or j'élève, relever, or relève. All right? So I just thought, while we're here, let's have a little look-see at those verbs anyway. And do let me know underneath. Please like, subscribe, whatever the podcasts are available. But do let me know underneath if this has solved problems for you. It does really, really motivate me if people go, yes, Luke, that was a problem. I didn't realise I was doing that. This has been useful. Please do let me know, all right? So let's look then. So what can we sort of talk about in overview? Most of the time with lever, je me lève, you're going to be using it with body parts, but that's confusing because you can use the other ones as well. You can certainly use relever with the head. You can certainly use like soulever with the leg. But body parts generally will like lever. Body part sounds a bit Halloween. Most commonly you'll be using this verb reflexively, won't you? To get up. So I'm going to get up. Je vais me lever. Je me lève. In the morning I get up. Whatever. Okay. It's increasingly difficult with this hip, but I am doing it. Where would you use soulever most of the time? To kind of lift up something from the ground, so that it's a bit heavier. Soulever is a bit more of an effort, like to lift weights. Je soulève, alors des poids, les poids, or some form of kind of, when you're really tired, you soulève les paupières, like you have to lift up the eyelids because your eyes are getting really heavy because it's a massive effort. So soulever's got this idea of a bit more effort involved, possibly from a ground base going upwards. That's quite like an interesting thing. Lever has got other figurative usages as well, to sort of like lift something like a ban that's been lifted, or raise money. It's got sort of other usages like that as well. We didn't talk about with lever. We'll have a look in a moment. Relever has kind of again got some figurative usages, but very much idea of taking something up that was previously down, or something putting it back up because it should be back up, or a kind of pulling motion rather than lifting we'll often use relever. So that's that as well. Élever, we've got this idea of raising, but like a child, for example, an elevation will help us with that in English, to sort of hoist up kind of thing. Enlever is more of a removal, taking something away rather than up. So we'll have a little look at these verbs. Good. So let's look at lever first. So this is our basic boy, our basic bitch. So lever. Bouger de bas en haut, we have as a definition, to move from low to high. But be careful because a lot of them do that. So for example, the arm, the hand, Samantha raised her arms to signal to her friend. Alors Samantha a levé les bras pour faire signe à son ami. So that might get confusing, but like I said, we're going to use a body part. It's not a huge effort. I apologize if you have any physical problems. Trust me, I'm on your team. If it's for most people though, it's not a huge effort to lift the arm. So alors, je lève un bras, and be careful therefore that you're not going to be using the reflexive there. So sometimes with body parts, when you do a verb with the body part, so for example, I wash my face, je me lave le visage, I, massage his feet, je lui masse, les pieds, I cut his hair, whatever, je lui coupe les cheveux. You need to throw in the pronoun and use the with the body part. Some verbs don't do this, and this is one of the verbs which doesn't do this. So, you know, you, or it doesn't have to do this, is what I'm saying. You can do it. So, yeah, so let's look at lever. So, Samantha a levé les bras pour faire signe à son ami. So she raised her arms to signal to her friend. Be very mindful with word reference. The order it puts stuff in is not the most. It's not the most common usage first. I have to really stress that. So the government decided to, lift whatever this thing, to remove it. So the government has decided to lift the top secret classification on this matter. Alors le gouvernement a décidé de lever le secret défense sur cette affaire. Lovely. To raise, like, as in to notice. So in other words, or to raise money. So to raise money. Yeah, so the aim of this gala evening is to raise money for the homeless. Alors cette soirée de gala a pour objectif de lever des fonds pour les sans-abri, the without shelter. So we've got that one for money, like a levy in tax as well. Yeah, they're less common, but basically your main one will be to stand up. So je me lève, tu te lèves, il se lève, and body parts. They're the two that you're going to come to. If you want to say something, can you put your hand up? Alors si tu veux dire quelque chose, ok, il faut lever la main, ok, ou ta main. Good. So that's your main use of lever. All right. Lever is a lot more general. There's a good way of thinking about it, which is you can't swap them around. You can pop lever in where you have soulever and it wouldn't be awful. But if you pop soulever in everywhere you have lever, it would be awful. Yeah, you can't overuse soulever. Good. Let's have a little look at soulever now. Let's look at that one then. So soulever, soulève. This is very common. Commonly explained as something that's heavier, like a heavy thing. So again, lift, raise. I mean, the definitions wouldn't help you per se, would they? So I hurt my back lifting a box that was a bit too heavy. I mean, that's the choice that they've made as the translation. They want to show you that it's like a bit of an effort. Ah oui, alors je me suis fait mal au dos en soulevant une caisse un peu trop lourde. Lovely. Yeah, whip up as well. So the wind was whipping up the waves. Alors le vent soulevait les vagues, lifted it up. And again, notice in brackets that's got faire lever. So there's the interchangeability there. Susciter, so to give rise to, yeah, to make happen. So again, this active lifting of something else up away from you, figuratively or literally, can often use soulever because it's more of an effort. So son commentaire a soulevé un vif mécontentement. So his commentary, stirred up, whipped up, gave rise to, a strong displeasure. You can se soulever. Yeah. So sa poitrine se soulevait à chaque respiration. So his chest rose up. It's not like the chest is getting up. It's not like the chest is lifting something else up. So soulever there can be used. Likewise, a people can lift themselves up. So they're not standing up, they're getting up to sort of fight and demonstrate. So for example, le peuple s'est soulevé contre le dictateur. That is another thing as well. Yeah, so soulever, se soulever can kind of be, rather than just getting up in height, can be figuratively rising up as well. Okay. Yeah, and lift as in pinch as well. So he lifted as in he pinched his girlfriend. Yeah, il a soulevé sa fiancée, whatever. They're not meant to be together. Forms that we'll see. Yeah, To pump iron, you're really going to see this one, to lift weights. Okay, you know, soulever. Yeah, soulever, with weights and stuff is the verb you're going to use. All right, good. Let's look at élever. No, let's look at élever. Yeah, let's look at élever. No, let's look at élever first, and then relever. So élever again is raised. They've all got raised in them. It's not going to help you. So, but anytime I feel with élever, it's quite useful that if you can swap it for, if you think of it more as a level, if you think of a level, if you're not, or the word, it's tricky. So the recent rains have dangerously raised the level of the river. So something else is raising that. It's not lifting it up on purpose, so we wouldn't go with soulever. So I would say les récentes pluies ont dangereusement élevé le niveau de la rivière. Raise up, as in with the goal of it being nice and high, like as in higher than where you are, and you want a really high placement. That would be great with elevators, like a crane. Yeah, une grue. Yeah, so the crane lifts something up. That would be elevate. To raise up on high would be elevate. Yeah, like to place a statue in place would be elevate. Not soulever. I mean, I suppose by definition it is souleving the thing, but elevate kind of goes with the movement of placing it up on high. Erect, construct, that kind of thing. You can élève un mur. You can, put up a wall. Yeah. Put up a stadium. Erecting. Yeah. It's not the only verb for that. Let me tell you. La ville élève un nouveau stade. Fine. Obviously, we then come to raise, as in children. So, or animals. Pupils are, vous êtes mes élèves, because I'm raising you in French. Alors, mon voisin élève des vaches. My neighbor breeds cattle, bring up kids. Le devoir des parents est d'élever leurs enfants. So the parents have a duty to bring up their children, okay? Again, reflexive forms, s'élève, that's like, yeah, like fly away kind of thing. Let's look at relever. Nice one, this one. So first things first, like all verbs which start with an R, be very, very careful to whether you are saying re or re, de or de. That's just, I mean, all vowels are important in French, but R, E, D, E words are super important. We use this word in ballet, and everybody says relever, but it's relever. Yeah, okay? Sorry, no, relever and relève. I'm saying it the English way. Yeah. So idea being, picking something up which has previously been down. So what have we got here? The gardener is picking up the pots that were knocked over by the strong wind. Alors le jardinier relève les pots renversés par le vent violent. The mother picked up her child who'd fallen over, bless him, or her. La maman relève l'enfant tombé sur le sol. Yeah, fallen over, all right? If your head's down, but it's not its normal position, so if you're just sitting here, you decide to lift your arm up, yeah? That we could use lever, If your leg were heavy, like for example, if it were in a plaster or it had a weight on it, I'm having difficulty lifting my leg up. Alors soulever, but otherwise like lift your leg, lift your, arm, lever. So if you said, I lifted my head up because it was down, so I lifted it back up, alors j'ai relevé. But in English, you wouldn't say I lifted my head back up. You said I raised my head. But the idea being that it was previously down, that would be like, relever. To pull something up, like I said, so the young girl hiked up her skirt so as not to get it dirty. Alors la jeune fille a relevé sa jupe pour ne pas la salir. Yeah. Yeah. The athlete popped her hair into a ponytail. La sportive a relevé ses cheveux, although that's less common. You tend to say attacher ses cheveux. Popped it into a ponytail. Good. To bring something up, I'm going to bring it up as in raise the point. I'm going to raise a point. There's a few points I'd like to raise about what you've just said. That would be relever. Okay? Is that down there? Oh oui, so I noted several mistakes in this report. Alors j'ai relevé plusieurs erreurs dans ce rapport. My colleague made a rather pleasant remark, but I prefer to not. I don't want to raise it. I don't want to talk about it. Mon collègue a fait une remarque désobligeante, mais j'ai préféré de ne pas la relever. All right. Good. All right. So basically, we've talked about going to e. So lever, lève, promener, promène, mener, mène, amener, amène, emmener, emmène. Very, very common verbs. Achever, achève. We've talked about this E and a consonant ER and how that's going to go high. Spoken about how in the future in the conditional it will still stay high for all of them. Other tenses not necessarily, so like the imperfect, no, passé simple, no, etc. We've spoken about how you're going to need a graph for the 1, 2, 3, and 6. We've spoken about how within these verbs, and they are legion, you are going to have the different usages of lift. So I'm going to stand up, je vais me lever. I'm going to get up, je vais me lever. Lève-toi, the command form, lève-toi, but levez-vous, notice, lève-toi, but levez-vous, if you've ever wondered why that's pronounced differently. Yeah, soulever something heavy, okay? I mean, to be honest with you, if you're speaking to anybody in French and you said lever for everything, we'd completely understand you. Lifting weights, soulever. You know, picking it back up, relever. Raising it higher than where you are on purpose and leaving it there. That's the idea, and leaving it there. That's the point I should have said with élever, élève. I hope this has been useful. All right. Good. Let me know. Click underneath. Do please like. Do please subscribe. I'll speak to you guys soon. All right. Take care.